Welcome to Earground, Your Voices Amplified. My name is Plot Marco, and it's a pleasure to be joining you. And today we'll be speaking not to a musician, not to a music producer, but to an author. Earground is a platform that speaks to different creatives that are working within Zimbabwe and also within the diaspora. And we're going to be speaking to Ashton Bvute, who is based in China. He's an author, he's an educationist. We're going to get more about his life, his influences, as well as his career in writing. He has a new book that is called The Contested Diamond. It's quite an interesting narrative that we're going to dissect into and get more information about it. Mr. Ashton, thank you so much and welcome to Earground.
Yeah, I'm very happy, Plot Marco. This is the platform which I was dreaming to be part of it one day, and feel honored, to be interviewed with you.
Right,
anyway,
right.
Thank you for giving me this time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you are an educationist, but now you're also writing books. Can you take us through your childhood? Where did you grow up? Who's Ashton Bvute?
Oh, it's nice. Let me start by saying absolutely I'm an educationist, and I'm also an author, a new kid on the block. I was born in 1989 in Masvingo province, in Masvingo district.
Yes.
And in 1989, and I attended my school, my primary school, at Masvingo Primary School, there in Masvingo province, Masvingo district, the same.
Yes.
And I also attended my secondary or high school education at Manunura High School, not that one in Kwekwe, but the one in Masvingo. Yeah. And from there, I attended my tertiary education at Great Zimbabwe University again in Masvingo. So I'm just Weshira. I was born and bred in Masvingo, yes. Then from there, I joined the civil service in year 2014, again in Masvingo province, stationed in Chirezi. Yeah, this is when I started to start writing this book, yeah, from 2014, 2015.
Wow. Growing up in Masvingo, attending schools in Masvingo, and what sort of influence did you have around you that got you interested into the literary arts?
Actually, when you grew up in a peri-urban environment where we usually didn't have proper access to libraries, those rural schools. So sometimes we used to borrow books from the school library and, reading the likes of Charles Mungoshi, the likes Oliver Twist, those books to mention a few. I just developed an interest of writing my own book one day. So this interest grew and became a reality, which I decided to jot down in 2015.
Wow. Growing up in Masvingo, you've mentioned the likes of Charles Dickinson, Oliver Twist, which is a brilliant book, and you've also mentioned Charles Mungoshi. Which other writers influenced your thought around an interest towards books and writing?
Yeah, I'd like to appreciate the works of Dabzumari Chera, our own local star, Zimbabwean star. That guy actually inserted a sense of challenging new perspectives, especially Western ideas, and he actually cultivated a sense of challenging everything. Because from his writings, I could actually tell that the guy was strong and was so confident in challenging everyone in the world. So that mentality also grew in my mind, and up until I decided to write my own book.
Yes, great. Yeah, remember about. Lockdown, to party, right? The kids.
No, that's further out, and those are story.
Busy. Yeah, so I'll edit those two parts out and create continuity.
That's fine.
Yes. So now you get into the education sector. You're working with students, and tell us just a bit about that. You were teaching at different schools.
Yeah, actually, my started to teach at in Chirezi at Mtiko Secondary School, English language and history. And for the first time, as a freshman from the university, it's quite just in front of kids and interacting with the other fellow workers. But with time, I got on the mood and started to integrate with them. Then from there, from 2015, I was transferred and stationed in the remote parts of Chirezi, Niche Kombes area. I think you ever heard about that story?
Yes.
That area. Yeah. So getting there, I was again deployed as a teacher, as an English teacher and history teacher. And, it was quite challenging there to teach in that remote part of Chirezi, and especially the English language. It was the most difficult subject to teach. So I started to develop some stories, some local stories, writing stories basing on the events which happens at this and even in the local area, so that the kids may develop a reading culture. So by doing that, I realized that learners were more interested in reading those stories. So I reached a time where I saw it possible to start this book. So when I started to write each and every chapter, I could give my kids, my learners, just have a glimpse or just. So it actually pushed me to keep on working. This is how it became a reality.
Wow, good, great. And now you have moved, you're now based in China, and you have released your book, The Contested Diamond. This is the book that we want to really sort of focus more on. It's a brilliant read, riveting narrative, and I believe that it touches on very important socio-political issues that relate to Zimbabwe during a period that a lot of things happened. And I think this is a very historic period that you've managed to capture in this book, but also put in a bit of fiction into that narrative. Can you take us through the whole story of The Contested Diamond and how you've used this to reflect the reality, the fiction about the socio-economic and political situation in a turbulent Zimbabwe?
Yeah, Zimbabwe, it's one of the best countries in the world, but not best for its citizens right now to live in it. So actually, from the period of the land reform program up to the discovery of diamond, there was a lot which affected people socially, politically, and economically. So I tried to narrate those events in any parable way or an allegory way, trying to reflect what was exactly happening during that epoch of time. So the book is actually a reflection of what was happening between the onset of land reform program up to the discovery of diamonds in Chiazwa. So I was touching social issues, something to do with how the land reform program affected the lives of Zimbabweans. Yes, the lives of Zimbabweans, and how the land programs affected politically the lives of Zimbabweans. Also, the discovery of diamonds, how it affected the lives of Zimbabweans in general. So it's more like I was just trying to to reflect both sides of the coin. The good, I was also reflecting the good of the land reform program at the same time, also reflecting the bad part of the land reform program. That's why you see in the book, I also highlighted the issue of how the land reform program attracted the issue of sanctions to Zimbabwe. So it was necessary to have the land reform program. It was necessary, but at the end of the day, it attracted sanctions, which are actually harming the generality of Zimbabweans. Are also reflected on the issue of diamonds, and you see the issue of diamonds in Chiazwa. Yeah, there was a contest of diamonds. Yeah, the government, the people, Jacket Jew also tried to get a diamond from Chiazwa. So it was an area of contest. So I tried to see how the discovery of diamonds led to issues of corruption, social vices, and a lot of things. So that's the.
So sorry about it. Yeah, I'm following. So yeah.
So I was saying the discovery of diamonds in Chiazwa, of course, it was good. It was a blessing to Zimbabweans, and actually it didn't come as a blessing, but it became a curse because it led to the birth of corruption. It led to the birth of death of people. It led to a lot of social vices in the country and political trends which were not favorable for every citizen in Zimbabwe. So the Contested Diamonds is just a book which was penned from, or which was written from the experiences from Zimbabwe. It's not something from another world. It's something from Zimbabwe which we experienced during the land reform program up to the discovery of diamonds.
Okay, interesting. And you created a fictitious character in the name of Petro for this narrative, and played around the contestation around the issues of diamond, the issues of land reform, and how this impacted the socio-political and economic fabric of Zimbabwe. And you also touched on the cross-border trade in this book, which somehow summarizes a lot of human movement within the region where you grew up in Masvingo, one of the regions that is worst affected by the HIV pandemic, and with a lot of vices attributed to the cross-border interaction as it is the highway into South Africa. And this book, for me, does not just serve as sort of a fiction book. There is deep reality in that book. How did you manage to balance fiction and reality and still present a very intriguing story that is compelling to one when reading?
Actually, for the sake of audience, we have two types of audience. There are some people who are much interested in fiction, and who are much interested with facts. So I was trying to embrace all those types of audiences. Like I knew that if I stress much on reality, I would elbow out those people who are much interested in fictional stories. So I tried to bring in some characters and portray those characters as the real guys in Zimbabwe. I didn't want to mention the real figures in Zimbabwe, but I generated those characters to represent the characters we have in Zimbabwe right now. Because, when you write some names of real people, it's not good,
Great. But I mean, writing such a book, you wrote this book whilst still in Zimbabwe, or you'd already traveled to China?
Actually, I started this book in 2015. But when you are writing a book, a lot is involved. Sometimes you may write a book from chapter 1 up to chapter 5. Then you realize that I made an error in chapter 2. Then you revisit again in chapter 2. You see, so it takes time to build a text which can be appreciated by people. Also, the issue of responsibilities. During my time in Zimbabwe, I have a lot of responsibilities, having family responsibilities, job responsibilities, and my all those things impacted the duration of writing.
And talking about impact, how has been the...
Okay, you can ask.
Great. I was asking in terms of impact, you mentioned impact there. How has been the response? How have people responded to the book so far?
Yeah, I'm very happy. Actually, I published the book during this period of COVID-19, where everyone here in China was in self-isolation. So the book was welcomed by everyone, and the guys here in China are supporting me every day. They keep on posting some quotes from the book. Some of them they send some screenshots saying, "Oh, this is a good piece. Yeah, go on to produce another book." You see, so here in China, the response is overwhelming, and I would like to thank the guys here in China. They are actually supporting me, and this has given me another energy to push on another project.
Yes, and now back home, have you managed to get your book to Zimbabwe? Has the Zimbabwean audience in Zimbabwe or elsewhere managed to access the book? Is the book available online? How can one access it?
Yeah, right now the book is available online. If you check it on Amazon, you can find it, and someone can order it as a paperback on Amazon. And I'm planning to ship some of the pieces soon after this COVID-19, because right now here in China we can't ship because of the outbreak of coronavirus. So then there are a few people whom I shared the soft copies with, and actually they've appreciated that this is a good piece.
Great. And looking at Zimbabwe, I don't know if this is also your sentiment. I've noticed that maybe with the advent of technology, the reading culture is slowly dying. People are not reading books the same way that we used to. We grew up reading, books from so many authors in Zimbabwe who would know like so many books that were like read in schools, on radio, with like reading programs, and also people just had a general reading culture. But right now, I have a feeling that people are not reading as much as they should be. You having been an educationist as a teacher, and now as an author, what's your sentiment with regard to the reading culture in Zimbabwe or by Zimbabweans right now?
Yeah, we are talking effect. The reading culture is slowly dying in Zimbabwe, and it's sad to note that because of the advent of technology, most of the people have dumped the idea of moving with these hard copies, and so I think the need for the authors to be innovative. It's either they can write scripts. They can write their books in form of scripts which can be acted as movies, which can be played on TVs, or which can be played anyway in different platforms.
Right.
I think that way we can rejuvenate the reading culture.
That's quite interesting. I mean, and I hope, script writers, filmmakers are watching so that they will be able to also see the value that comes from working together with authors. And now that this book has dropped, that it is out, what's next? What are you currently working on? What more can we expect from you as an author? Are you working on new content, or you're still pushing and marketing your current project?
Come again? I think my connection was a bit poor.
In terms of now the future, this book has dropped, is out. What's next? What can we expect from Ashton? What are you working on currently?
I think the onset of this book we need to integrate with other authors here in China, because right now, this week we've been discussing with the next project. Actually, we are coming up with a documentary book reflecting again the lives of subjects here in China, their experiences, for a life, yes, a lot of things. So we are trying to write a documentary book which will have authors, I think 6 or 7 authors, every author writing his own or her own experience in that book. And we are hoping that this book will be acted, play or as a script on TVs and on radio.
Wow, great. And there's a young writer who's there in Murombenzi or there in Kotwa or in Kezi or in Nyanyazi, who dreams and hopes to become an author one day. They are so passionate about books, they're so passionate about literature. What advice would you give them? Possibly right now they don't see much of inspiration around in terms of examples of authors that have made it or that have published works before. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would like to say the writers must not focus much on bargaining or for money. Instead, they must write for the sake of passion, self-motivation, self-inspiration. So if they start with that mentality, they can push and push up until their realities become a dream. But if you target money, actually, this world is quite unpredictable. There is no money, especially in the arts, due to changing trends in technology, piracy, and a lot of things. So one thing to start with is inspiration and passion. Develop passion and keep on working on your dream. That's my advice.
Right. Talking about piracy before we go, this is a big thing. A lot of authors, a lot of publishers for a very long time have been complaining and crying that piracy is eating into their craft, is eating into their coffers. What would you advise fellow authors that are struggling with piracy?
Yeah, I think piracy is very, very problematic and it's one of the big problems affecting the arts industry. But actors or authors or everyone in arts industry can't push or fight piracy alone. It only goes back to the government, to the responsible authorities to set up policies and protect all those artists so that at the end of the day, they realize the importance of what they are doing. Because right now, I write my book, but at the end of the day, if I go to Zimbabwe, I'll find the hard copies in shops or in this, which is bad to the author or to the artist. So I encourage authors who are on the ground right now and all responsible authorities to engage with the government and all other stakeholders to keep on working together and formulate policies which protect every artist. So because these artists, they have families, they want to survive, they want to bring food on the table. So at the end of the day, government must appreciate these artists because it's also an industry which contributes to the income of the country.
Wow, that's very true there. And thank you so much. It's been great speaking to you. And for those that are just joining us now or joined us late, I'm speaking there to Mr. Ashton Bvute, who is an author, is an educationist, And he just published a book called The Contested Diamond, which is a reflection on the reality and fiction about the socioeconomic developments around the political situation in Zimbabwe, but he zeroes in on the diamond discovery in Chiadzwa as well as the land reform in Zimbabwe, which are very interesting topical issues. And he combines reality and fiction in a very interesting and compelling narrative in the form of this book, which is a book that is available on the paperback online. You can buy it, The Contested Diamond. I will drop the links. You will see the links in the video so that you're able to go where it's at and be able to buy and support the author, but also at the same time read the book and get the twist of his narrative. Thank you so much. It's really been great speaking to you, and it's encouraging because to see young people getting into the literary arts, you know, with our legends, with our luminaries, the late Charles Mungoshi, with so many, Dambudzo Marachera, the late, and there are a lot of these authors that wrote books that inspired, that transformed lives, that captured the narrative of Zimbabwe. And I feel this is what you have done. This is commendable, and thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, Plot Marco. Thank you. The interview was so interesting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much to everybody who's been watching. My name is Plot Marco. Earground is the place, and we've been talking there to Mr. Ashton Bvute, who is based in China. And I will hope and pray that you'll be safe there with the pandemic that is affecting the world right now. And please stay safe. I hope life is returning back to normal.
Yeah, in China, we are starting to see a glimpse of things are starting to normalize, transport, markets, and everything. Though we are not yet sure, we are not yet confident to say that it's now over. But the solution is improving.
Great.
Then I urge those in Zimbabwe to, just urge my fellow Zimbabweans to keep themselves in isolation and follow what the government is saying, because corona is real and it's deadly. It's one of the lethal virus. So guys, we love you. Let us keep ourselves safe in there, wherever we are. Anyway, thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Which province are you in?
I'm in Guangzhou province.
Great. Please stay safe, and until next time, we stay tuned, we stay connected. Earground, your voice amplified.
Thank you.
Great.